So it's time for another basic beer review. And while I was in Menorca, I saw some other beers that aren't available in the UK, or I've not seen in the UK. So I've got about 4 of them that I could put in my suitcase. And this is one of them. This is a can of Molen beer. This is probably the cheapest of the beers that they had over there. So this was a lager. I think it was only about 80 cents, I think, 80 cents for a can. Which is, I'd say, well, it's a decent price. It's 4.8% ABV. It's a 330ml can, and I say it's Molen beer, lager. I picked up 2 of the Molen beers. There's one of these, lager, and the other one was like a malt beer or something, so I thought I'd pick that up. I'm going to review the beers I picked up from Spain in from least interesting to most interesting. So I've got quite an interesting looking beer lined up as the last one I'm going to review. On these ones, but yeah, it doesn't really say a lot about it. I say it's all in Spanish anyway. But yeah, it's a beer, it's a lager, it's Molen beer, and it doesn't really. I'm trying to read if this says anything here, but it doesn't really. Yeah, so there you go. Anyway, so it's Molen beer. I'm assuming it's a Spanish beer. It was available at the local supermarket. It was about 80 cents. Let's crack it open. Let's get it poured. So I'll give it a nice big glass for it, even though it's only a 330ml can. So let's get it in there. Let's get a whole lot in there actually. Let's have a see. And we're getting about a 2-finger right head there. Pop it there. Don't need that. I was going to review the bottle, but I've decided to review the can instead. So there we go. So we're getting a lovely tornado. Getting a lovely tornado of fizz going up there in the middle. That's interesting. Look at that. Can you see that tornado coming up this middle there? That's interesting, I must say. So it is getting a little bit of a tornado going up the middle. Let's give it a nice little swirl. Plenty of room for swirling there. Let's get a nose on it. So, not a particularly strong nose on it. Getting, it's lemony, it's syrupy. A little bit of biscuity, quite sweet on the aroma, quite a lot of syrup in the aroma there. Interesting. It's got an interesting aroma. It does smell quite sweet. It smells very lemony. Yeah, I'm getting like honey and lemon. And not much else really. Okay, right, let's go in for the old taste then. I'm not expecting this to be unbelievable. I'm expecting it to just be like a basic lager, especially for that price, but we'll see what we're getting on the taste and how it compares to the basic lagers you get over here. Cheers. So it's drinkable, it's smooth, it's light in flavour, very pleasant in fact in flavour. Yeah, I mean it's, you know, it's, you're getting a bit more of that that kind of biscuitiness. You get a little bit of that lemon flavour. There's not a huge amount of taste to it, I won't lie. I'm actually having to search for those flavours. But it's very refreshing. It's perfectly acceptable. It's yeah, it's decent for the price. I mean, 80 cents a can. 80 cents a can. You can't really complain. I suppose you could complain, but I'm not doing. But yeah, I mean, I can't really get much more out of that. It's a very pleasant, quite a not a very strong flavour. There's a little bit of bitterness there, tingling me tongue. Say 4.8% is not the strongest in the world, but you know it's all right. It's perfectly pleasant. It's a perfectly pleasant lager. It's there's no off flavours there. There's a bit of maltiness. There's a bit of biscuit taste there. Bit of lemon, bit of syrup in the taste. You know, it's decent. It's a decent lager. There's certainly nothing wrong with it. I think if I could get a case of that for a reasonable price, then I'd be perfectly happy with it. It's, you know, it's there with the cold beer by Brewdog and things like that. I'd say it's in that kind of region. yeah, it's perfectly passable as a nice lager. It's certainly much better than the likes of Carlsberg and Foster's and all that kind of stuff that you get. Yeah, I mean, there isn't really much more I can say about it. It's a standard lager, decent price. I won't be rushing back to Spain to get another can of this, but I say it is nice. It's decent. It's actually got a decent amount of roundness of flavour. It's quite malty compared to some of the lagers you get over here. And it's perfectly pleasant. It's very nice indeed. So there we go. Until next time, have a good one.